This is Haley Solomon with the North Carolina Housing Coalition. Thank you for joining us this morning for our housing call. And without further ado, I will turn it over to our Executive Director, Samuel Gunter.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this absolutely gorgeous Tuesday morning in April. Got some updates coming your way. It's a pleasure to be with you. Our Director of Housing Policy, Stephanie Watkins Cruz, and our Senior Policy Analyst, Anna Patterson, are all out attending a couple of different conferences this week. They're in the West right now, out at Black Mountain, for a convening with Dogwood Health Trust. And later this week, they're going to be down in Atlanta, Georgia, for the remainder of the week for the first regional housing convening hosted by the Southern Economic Advancement Project, connecting with other advocates in North Carolina, Virginia, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, and West Virginia, to talk about how we build power, build coalitions, and continue to advance affordable housing policy work in this region. So excited for the learning that they're going to do there and bring back here, and look forward to giving you updates about all that we're hearing across the region. A couple of other organizational updates for folks. Again, registration closes on May 2nd. That is Friday, for our Bringing It Home conference. Again, our Bringing It Home, Ending Homelessness in NC conference is taking place May 15th and 16th at the McKemmon Center in Raleigh. So it's coming right around the corner. You can check out the conference website. The details will be posted in the call notes. But again, registration closes on Friday. So if you haven't registered, get to it. The other piece we updated last week as well is NCHFA is accepting nominations for their 2025 Housing NC Awards. This is going to be the 36th annual Housing NC Awards. And so if you think there's recognition that needs to be given in the categories of innovation in housing, excellence and sustainability, creative partnerships, and community impact, any property type can be entered for consideration in any of the categories. So again, that information is up on in the call notes on the website. Nominations close May 9th at 5 p.m. All right, let's turn to some federal policy updates. The big one for us right now, and I know for a number of you, is the letters that were sent out Friday evening from AmeriCorps, from Corporation for National and Community Service, terminating a large number of AmeriCorps grants across the country, including the AmeriCorps Vista members that the North Carolina Housing Coalition places at local housing counseling agencies across the state. We received word Friday evening that those grants were terminated. And individual AmeriCorps members received notice yesterday evening of the consequences for them as well. From best we can tell at this point, that represents about 351 AmeriCorps members across North Carolina at 13 different sites. And that is on top of the NCCC demobilization that happened 2 weeks ago. That for those of you who were paying attention in the news, Governor Stein spoke pretty forcefully about it, because a number of those NCCC volunteers were engaged in disaster recovery efforts in Western North Carolina. We're working on mucking and gutting houses and so on. So this has had a pretty significant impact, and will have a pretty significant impact. For those of you who have are part of this, or are impacted by, have AmeriCorps members impacted by this, please reach out to us. We are exploring what the options are for those members and for the organizations and the projects that those members were supporting. Nationally, that's just shy of $400 million in AmeriCorps grants that were canceled, and about 32,000, just over 32,000 members nationwide that were cut from their projects. So that is, there are a number of letters going around, bicameral, bipartisan letters from folks who care deeply about national service. And I'll say on a personal note, I'm a double national service alumnus, both Peace Corps and AmeriCorps. This was very important to me, my own formation, and important to the organizations that I've worked with and for over the years. So you can read the full text of the letter that's being sent around. Again, this is something that is worth reaching out to your elected officials about. As is the case with a lot of the things that we are talking about, none of this is a done deal yet. There is still congressional pushback to be had because this is congressionally appropriated dollars, and these grants were terminated outside of the process of the grant, outside of the grant making process. That's the big update on the federal side at the moment. There's a number of other things that you can look through in the call notes. I'm going to move to the state and local side. So 2 weeks ago, the state Senate released their budget proposal for FY for the 2-year budget cycle. It was discussed in committee on the Tuesday and Wednesday, and then it passed on the Thursday. As we talked about this before, we're still tracking those appropriations, and we were pleased that the Housing Trust Fund is in the new budget, although there was no increase, but I'm highly concerned about the absence of the workforce housing loan program in particular. So this is, for those of you who don't know or are new to the space, the workforce housing loan program was established in 2014 to replace the state housing tax credit that we lost. So this works in conjunction with federal housing tax credits to construct and preserve new affordable rental units across North Carolina. It's a critical tool to make developments work and deals pencil out, particularly in rural areas here in North Carolina. And since its creation, it's supported the development of over 2,700 rental units. So as we turn to the House and the House puts its budget together, we are pushing the appropriators on the House side to put that back into the budget and to fund it at a level that is reflective of the housing emergency here in North Carolina and the need. This week at the General Assembly, spring recess is over, and they are back at it. Today, actually, in House Judiciary 2, later this afternoon, there is a hearing on House Bill 781. This is the unauthorized public camping and sleeping bill that we spoke about on our lobby day, that Dr. Agard from the Coalition on Homelessness in particular spoke very forcefully about. It is an act that bans unauthorized public camping or sleeping in state and local government units across the state. You can learn more about that in our call notes, but it is being heard in committee today. Our friends from the Coalition on Homelessness are there speaking against the legislation, and they have created some incredible resources that dive into the details of the bill, the dangers behind the legislation, and kind of the source of the legislation as well. So you can find those resources in our call notes. We also have House Regulatory Reform Committee that is meeting later this morning. They're going to be taking up regulation bill around accessory dwelling units. And excuse me, the House State and Local Government Committee meeting later this afternoon is also discussing House Bill 913, the Liability Unfair Deceptive Development Actions bill. Again, you can read more about those bills in the call notes and on our bill tracker. Couple of other things later this week. Tomorrow, House Emergency Management Disaster Recovery is meeting in the morning, and then the Senate Judiciary Committee is meeting tomorrow as well to discuss Senate Bill 378, which is a bill modifying the powers of homeowner associations, HOAs. A couple of events to take note of. There's a webinar coming up, Join Carolina Across 100, on Wednesday, April 30th, from 2 to 3, focused on the role of collaboration in addressing housing challenges. Excuse me, we're going to be featured in that. It's an interactive session that Stephanie Watkins Cruz is going to be one of the panelists. So the registration is free and open to the public. There is a housing-focused street outreach webinar being put on by the National Alliance to End Homeless tomorrow as well at 3 p.m. City of Charlotte Faith and Housing Initiative is having a community mixer May 8th from 3 to 5. Registration is closed, but for those of you who have that on your radar, again, reminder that the Bringing It Home conference is coming up May 15th and 16th at the McKimmon Center in Raleigh, and registration closes on Friday, May 2nd. And also the KHEC conference is coming up Tuesday, June 3rd through Wednesday, June 4th at the Raleigh Convention Center. Registration is free for that conference and closes on May 19th. Last couple of things to point out, and then I will let you get on about your day. There are a couple of items in the news that are worth sharing. Again, in the call notes, Durham is launching a loan program targeting more ADU construction, accessory dwelling unit construction. There's an interesting piece in the Indy Week about that. Also, another piece in the Indy Week, Raleigh aims to create affordable housing and end homelessness. There's a couple of other pieces in the news. One in the Hill on housing affordability issues show few signs of easing, and then a news article from the Cape Fear Housing Coalition's legislative breakfast, where I spoke a couple of weeks ago. There was a write-up on that event. And that's what we've got. Again, the big thing this week, top of mind for us at the coalition, which is impacting our time and mental space at the moment, are the cuts to AmeriCorps and national service programs. Again, if you are impacted by that, please reach out to us. We are exploring what our options are. But if you are a national service alumnus or alumna, now is the time to talk to your elected officials about support for national service and what it means for your own growth, your own formation, as well as the communities you've served. Thank you all again. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you next time.